Hey, this is School Bus. Wishing all of you a Merry Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, well, that's alright too. Certainly here in this household, all the aspects of Christmas get celebrated. The religious ones, the Santa Claus ones, the putting up the trees, the putting up the lights. I'm almost kind of exhausted now that Christmas has arrived. But it is still a wonderful time to spend with family, friends. And this here was some time I was spending playing some Tier 6 games with Tow Truck and with Pikachu, so we were helping Pikachu grind out some of his tanks. As you're likely aware, the Sherman comes in two variants at Tier 6. It comes in the E8 version and the E2 version. And the E8 version was the popular one that everybody is familiar with. It was in the movie Fury, and it was your standard run-of-the-mill Sherman. The E2 was a specialized version of it that had heavier armor on it, particularly on the front. So with this armor, you can actually be a little more aggressive with the E2 than what you can with the E8. You need to be careful when you're in a Tier 8 game, but many Tier 7 and below games that you find yourself in, you can do some pretty cool stuff with this. And one of the unique thing about this tank is that it actually is a pretty good fit to put the 105mm gun on it and utilize the HE shells. Something that in the Sherman I just never found, the E8 Sherman to be clear, I did not find that to be very effective. In this, it is very effective. It comes at a cost though. You have to run the stock turret. You cannot run the upgraded turret, which means your view range is absolutely abysmal. And speaking of view range, have you noticed the scenario that we now have here that is the most ideal for a flanking tank? You will notice as you look at the map and the view range circles that these tanks over the other side of the map, they are not spotting me. Some of them due to the fact that they're blind as a bat because they're Russian heavies, and the others because they're outside and beyond the white detection ring on the map. So we're sitting over here completely undetected, and we are just raining destruction on these poor hapless tanks. And I've got to figure there's a few of them there that don't understand vision in the game yet and are potentially saying, guy's got to be cheating over there. How can he be hitting? And I should in full disclosure explain that I came over to this side of the map because most of the other heavy tanks were going to the 1-2 line. But doing this doesn't always work out this way. Typically the enemy forces will dispatch some tanks over to this side. And it just happened in this game, they didn't. And so when I realized that at the beginning, that I could just drive right over here, I did. And if we go back and we look at that defining moment, I can show exactly when I made that decision that this was the way I should go. So if we go back to this point here, where I was moving up to the left or to the east side of the map, you'll see there where our Rudy went pushing in after the enemy. Notice the way that the enemy is in a state of retreat and not pushing any sort of advantage. Additionally, no other enemy vehicles are being detected. This gave me a strong indication that there was nothing else lurking over here and that a push across the rails was going to be safe. So going back to the live action here, amazingly, a Tog came down the street, and I thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to get some nice, high, penetrating HE hits. And I didn't. And I looked at the stats afterwards and realized that my penetration is only 83 with this gun with these shells, and the Tog armor on the side is actually 76mm. So, with that being said, yeah, it makes sense that I'd only be getting partial penetration. And then depending on exactly where those shells were hitting there at the end, I think they were actually catching some of the tracks or hitting the frontal armor, which is significantly more than 76mm. So the Tog wasn't as good of a HE target for these particular shells. I think I was familiar more so with TOGs and hitting them with 152 millimeter shells and things of that sort. So now we just got to go in here and mop these guys up. I'm going for the ram. I want to get the ram, but unfortunately, my teammate gets the kill. And now we'll just keep this guy tracked in place and get ourselves a little bit extra bonuses. But overall, for a tier 6 game, this was pretty solid. A lot of assist and a lot of damage. Felt good. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.